This afternoon, I am blessed to sit with Francis Nguyen. Like, I mean it. You'd have to be somebody special to make an appointment to actually get to do that. And I'm nobody special, but here I am. And not only did I get you have an appointment with me, I got you to come out to this podcast booth and to sit here with me, and we're just going to talk. Thank you. It's
Thank
amazing.
you for having me here.
It's literally
Thank
amazing. I'm gonna start in a way that I kind of don't always go. The world should know that I was blessed to work with you at this intensive called Power Players. Okay. Now, to have somebody of your acumen, your experience. You're in the money business. You're in the mortgage business. You're in the finance business. You're out there, and people know you. Why would a person like that come to a seminar on acquisition of real property?
Oh my gosh.
You've already bought a lot of property. You already know what you're doing.
You know, you don't know what you don't know. And I thought I knew everything already. And going to that day at the hangar or day with Greg, it was life-changing for me. Like, I learned so much about deal structuring, things that I didn't know in the finance world that was possible. And it was another tool in my toolkit. And really, it was definitely a day everyone should go to, and it's going to be a life-changing day.
It sounds like I didn't intend for this to be an infomercial.
It's true.
But, you know, you come into this with so much experience, and I want to go back up, and I want to understand where that all started. And I'm of the mind, Francis, that way back in your young Francis wiring somewhere, there's this drive, this focus to do extraordinary things. Take me way back, and then we're going to bring it right up to how much experience you do have, so that they'll understand where we start. This is like the movie that begins with the end.
Yeah.
Now we're going to go back to the beginning. Tell me about childhood, your influences, your parents, siblings. I want to hear about what those forming years looked like.
Yeah. Wow. Childhood was hard. Ooh, I always get so emotional when I talk about childhood. But it was hard. I mean, my parents were amazing. My family was amazing, but we were poor, you know, and that was a struggle. I always get so emotional. But, you know, my parents were immigrants. They came in 1983, 1984 to the U.S., and they were one of the boat people. So one night, my dad took the whole family, 5 kids, my mom, 7 people on a boat, and sailed at sea for 17 days, not knowing if pirates were going to get us, not knowing where we're going to land. We got lost in the storm, and we landed in Macau, and then they rescued us. I was so young. I don't remember anything, you know. My sisters and my older siblings.
How old were you at the time?
I was about 2.
You're on a boat for 17 days, lost on a boat at 2.
Yeah.
And your parents they needed to do that so bad that they just laid it all on the line.
They just did. They had nothing, just brought enough food and oil, gas for the boat. My mom was smart. She knew that money wouldn't be of value, so she got gold. And then we landed. She didn't know if we were going to make it or not. They almost left my sister back in Vietnam because my dad thought my mom had my sister, and my mom thought my dad had my sister, and they had to go back and grab my sister. And it was, I think, from the stories they told me, they left around 6 p.m. because it was dark enough, but it wasn't in the middle of the night where it seemed suspicious. It just seemed like you were just running a little late and starting the boat. And so, we were one of the boat people 17 days on sea. My mom didn't know if pirates were going to get us. And then we landed in Macau, and then they sent us to Hong Kong. And then from Hong Kong, they sent us to the Philippines to live in the refugee camps in Manila. So we were there for 2 years waiting for a sponsor. And then the Mormon church actually sponsored us over. And so I grew up as a Mormon. Like my childhood years, I was a Mormon. I didn't even know why we were at the church. We were just there because we felt like we had to pay our debt back to the Mormon church. But so, my parents, they were janitors. Of course, they didn't, speak English. They didn't have an education. So they were janitors, and we lived in the projects. It's the High Point Projects, if anybody know. It's in West Seattle. And I just remember, as a kid, I would walk. If you're in West Seattle, there's 35th Avenue. Yeah. And on 35th Avenue, one side is the ghetto, and then the other side is where the water is, the nice homes. That's where the affluent people were. And I remember living in the housing projects. We would walk to the store, and I would see all these big houses, and I was like, oh, I want to live in one of those houses when I grow up. Sorry, I get so emotional. And I didn't know what that would look like growing up, but I was like, when I grow up, I'm going to be rich. I didn't realize that real estate was my path to wealth. But I was just so determined when I was a kid, and it really changed. It really changed how I saw life and my goals, and I just knew from there, my personal drive was when I grow up, I'm going to work hard. And, my parents, being Asian American, they were always like, you're going to grow up, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to have a good job. And so I was at that path. I was going to pre-med. But then I realized I didn't even like being a doctor. I realized I liked public health more. So I went and got my master's degree in public health. And it was funny because growing up, my parents finally found a house. So we got out of the projects when I was about 14 years old. And so that was my childhood home. But then that childhood home, it ended up being the start of my real estate portfolio because my parents sold that house to me. And I do a video of it, how my childhood home made me a millionaire. But I kept that home, and then I sold it to my brother, bought 2 more homes from the proceeds, and just kept on doing that and buying more houses. So it's kind of weird because my childhood, which had so much struggles, also provided me this home that my parents ended up buying, and that became the start of my success as well. So
you have 4 or 5 siblings, did you say?
4 siblings.
4 siblings.
Yep, 5 kids total.
Youngest?
I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest.
Yeah.
And so did they all, are they all still fairly local to here?
They're all local. They're very successful. My 2 sisters, they're entrepreneurs. They're in the hair salon business, so they own their own hair salon. My brother, he bought the property from me, and so he ended up investing in real estate as well. Mm-hmm. So he's doing well because he just lives off of the cash flow from his property. So it's that entrepreneurial spirit that really moved us, and shifting your mindset from going from a 9-to-5 job and working for someone to being your own entrepreneur that really helped your success in life.
I think of I'm just completely amazed, and I'm thinking of your parents who made a decision. It was like a do or die situation, and they went for it.
Yep.
And they got you all to a place that was safe, with opportunity. Okay, let's go to work.
Yeah, yeah.
And start where you are. In the
Right.
projects, start where you are.
Yeah, and you know, like that's all they could have done at the time, you know, like taking all that risk and taking us to an unknown place and bringing us here. I couldn't have asked for anything more. I wasn't given an inheritance. I wasn't given a trust fund or anything like that. But the only thing that I, you know, so grateful for was the fact that they brought us here, and then we can start our life and the American dream and building something for ourselves and our future generations.
And you lowering your head and getting through school and getting a master's degree. Your parents, were they formally educated?
No, my mom dropped out in 3rd grade so that she can go and fish to survive, to provide for the family when she was in 3rd grade. And my dad, he had elementary school, but I think he dropped out in 5th grade so that he can take care of his sister. So they were just farmers, fishermen. That was their life, and that's how they were able to navigate the sea also and bring us to the U.S. by boat.
Right.
So it was just
that's
just amazing. Yeah.
That's absolutely unbelievable, and they must just be so. I mean, their life's work,
Yeah.
getting you here, safe, established, educated. That would be like owning 1,000 units. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like their life's work is done because now they've turned the tide and they
Right.
have all of you doing so well.
Right.
I just think that is so courageous and so awesome.
Yeah.
And so you went in, you studied public health. And did you go out into the workplace ever to use that degree, or was that first house time such that you went in that direction?
So when I bought my parents' house, I actually got a full ride tuition for my master's degree, and I would save all of my stipend money, and I did this thing called the pool, where you and a bunch of relatives would just pool your money in. And so let's say for 12 months, and you put 1,000 every month, and I'll get 12,000 for that. So I did that during grad school. I would keep my stipend money and would play the pool. We call it playing the pool. And whoever bid the highest. So let's say you say, okay, I want to get the money first. So I'm going to bid the highest and I'm going to pay $50. So if you end up being the highest bidder, then you pay everybody else $50 in interest. And so I would just keep that interest. It was like just extra interest money. And then when I was ready, I took that money and I bought my first home. So I bought my first home when I was about 26. And which was my parents' old home. I bought that, and then I realized that I loved real estate so much. And I was like, gung-ho, I'm going to go all in real estate. And at that time, I think I bought the house around 2006. Around 2007, I got an equity line for like $300,000. And I was like, okay, I'm going to just go full-time real estate. I actually ended up working at a place at the city of Seattle, and I was in public health. And I was going to quit my job, and I said, I'm just going to just do this full-time real estate investing. And so I got this $300,000 HELOC, and then the recession hit in about 2008. And it was like survival mode at that time in 2008. My HELOC that I had overnight, I got a letter one day, and it just said, your balance is at zero. And I was shocked. I didn't know they could do that. It made me become a smarter investor now, because now I'm always monitoring the market. I'm always, I pull my money out if I need to. But back then, I thought I was going to just invest with $300,000, and I was golden. And so I actually went back to my W-2 job because I was like, we need to go back. I don't have that
Your
safety net.
capital was gone at that
My
point.
capital's gone. And at that time, I had 4 properties at that time. And I let 2 go. I sold 2. I regret selling it though, because now it's worth like 1.5 million. I sold it for 600,000. But I kept 2, which was one of them was my first rental property. And I let go of 2 and I went back to work, but I regretted not buying more at that time. I regretted not staying in the game. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have social media or meetup groups like this to tell me, like, it's going to be okay. The market is in cycles and it'll go back up again. And this is the time to buy. I didn't have anyone telling me that. So I got scared and I took a pause on real estate investing. But I knew that I would eventually have to get back into real estate investing. And I told my husband, I think it was, we did a couple of things in the middle. We said we're going to get settled and focus on cash flow before we went back all in real estate investing. And so I opened up a hair salon, which I'm not even a hairstylist. I have a degree in public health, but my sisters, they're in the hair salon business. So I opened up a hair salon with my sister. And we had a lot of, it was doing well, making money. And so we decided then, we would take those funds and buy our primary home. And then we said, okay, now we have our dream home. Now let's focus on real estate investing again. I think if I had done it differently, I would have just continued to invest in real estate. I would have house hacked, would have bought 4plexes early, a multifamily early, versus trying to buy this big primary home. But we went back into real estate investing and then bought more rental properties. And then later on, I learned from, what happened in 2008, just betting on appreciation. So I now focus on cash flow and appreciation. So that everything that happened in the past, I feel like it's a lessons learned. And I learned from that, and now I'm a better investor.
And when the market shifted, when did you decide, okay, now's the time to get back in? I can see it stabilizing and going in a different direction a little bit. When did you get back in?
It was around 2015, 2016.
Yep.
That's when the market was picking up again. And then I had a lot of confidence, and we had a lot of other things established by then too, where it wasn't too much of a risk. But I wished, I had not taken a pause. I wish I had a mentor that told me buy more back in 2012.
Those are, I think that's where, experience does come in, although nobody has a perfect crystal ball as to when cycles begin and end, but they do. But I think that this is also where the toolbox comes in, because in times where, for example, when interest rates go up or when normal people go, okay, now you can't do something, well, alternative tools come to play, and all of a sudden there's big opportunities. And a lot of lease options following declining balances, a lot of tools that can be used during those times that allow you to keep going. It's almost like a cause and effect. If this is happening here that looks adverse, there's an opportunity somewhere.
Right.
You've got to know where to look for it and then what tools to use. So,
it's just another creative way to look at things. I think anything can be done. You can achieve anything. It's just you have to think outside the box to achieve it.
I want to go back to something you said, and you got a business going with your sister. So she had the actual hair cutting, whatever, the hair talent. I don't know much about hair, but the hair talent. But you brought the business acumen. And you partnered with her in that. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I think anything can be a business. So when people ask me what do I do, I don't really call myself a real estate investor. I call myself an entrepreneur, but I am in the business of real estate. I'm in the business of making more money in different income streams too. So I just think that, if you have the business acumen, you can make anything into a business, and multiple income streams is the way to go. You can make anything into a business. Yeah.
Sometimes too, you'll find that you'll see a piece of real estate. I'm actually thinking of one in my brain right now that, okay, what do you do with this? And I could see the business that would work perfectly in this space.
Yeah.
So, okay, option A, figure out how to buy the building,
right,
and then go try to find that kind of business to be your tenant. But sometimes, why am I off looking, if I'm certain and feel real confident that this kind of business would work there, why don't I simply get on the investing side of starting that business, getting people there to be involved in it, and now that business is my tenant. So I'm being paid from the business as a landlord, but I'm also potentially in for the profits of the business itself.
Yeah.
And I have many students that we've looked at their space and this, and I go, you know what business would work here? Yeah, I could see that. Well, and then why don't you start that and get people operating that? And there's your best tenant ever.
Yeah.
Because you're much more in control of the landlord side of the equation too when you are in charge of the tenant, who's you.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that can work out really well on that end. Tell me about the mortgage business. Where did that weave into your life? Because it's in part what you're known for too, is being a Rockstar mortgage broker. Tell me about mortgage. When did that enter your world?
So in between that gap where I went into real estate in 2007, I got my real estate license because I wanted to buy my own properties, and so got my license for that. But then I also started doing a little bit of a mortgage. One of my family friend was in mortgage, and so she got me to help as a processor. But then, of course, because of the recession, I went back to my W-2. But in the back of my mind, I always knew that I was interested in mortgage and knew that I had to go back into real estate investing too. And so I decided, I think, once everything was stable, we had our cash flow number, I decided that I was going to quit my W-2 job and just do mortgage. And my husband, Merrick, you've met him, but he totally supported me. And he said, yeah, just go all in. I'll take care of everything. He has the stable W-2 job, the benefits and all of that. So then I decided to go back into mortgage like 5 years ago. And because I was already an investor, I knew how to be very creative with my mortgage lending and helping people because I thought like an underwriter and I knew how to help investors. There's the A paper type where maybe they're a first-time home buyer, they have one home where it's easy, but the investors, that's where things get difficult, right? Their debt-to-income ratio is high. They have all these rental properties. Their tax returns are just all over the place. And I always say that I became a better investor once I became a lender because I knew all the underwriting requirements. I knew how to strategically do my tax returns, how to plan for the following year. And so I differentiate myself with other mortgage lenders because I know more sophisticated structuring of loans. I know how to plan for their mortgage and strategically help them so that we're not just doing it transaction by transaction, but we're working with them to maintain their DTI or increase their borrowing power. And I'm working with them so that we're planning their taxes and telling them what they need up front versus kind of like saying, oh, well, your tax returns don't show income.
Right.
So we pre-plan, we work with them strategically, and we look at the entire portfolio and not how do we help you gain one house, but how do we help you get this house, but the following houses as well. So either if it's your 5th house or 10th house, how do we strategically plan for that?
Do you work mostly with investors, or do you work with just homeowners that want their home?
I work with everyone. So a lot of, I think about 50% are just first-time home buyers, but the other 50% is probably investors. So I say that I work with everyone, but I'm an added bonus for the investors as well.
Right, you understand that language well. You know, I love the wide stance, you know, that you've got a real estate license, you've got a mortgage origination license, you're a real estate investor. You know, I try to talk to people about if you need some kind of job to kind of get going, at least get the job in a very related field, you know, so that you're not working at the grocery store by day and then out trying to buy real estate, but something right in the mix of the same thing you're doing, a home appraiser or a broker or even a home inspector, something that's putting you at the airport because you want to be a pilot. You know what I mean? Something, just get generally in the right place, and then you can sort of overlay opportunities with a job, you know, and that wide stance, it also allows you to monetize an opportunity in a lot of different ways.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. When I go to a meetup, my number one priority is the investing, because I always try to prioritize that first. But when I'm talking to them, I provide value to them, and I also provide value from a mortgage perspective as well. So they see me as not only a real estate investor, but also a lender, and they know like, well, I can speak to this person to help me with my loan because they have experience in that investing world as well. So a lot of the times when I'm out at a meetup, I look for deals, but the mortgage opportunities come as well.
That's I think that's fantastic. With these licenses, I think, you know, even just the very basics, but, you know, a broker's license in real estate, got a ton of hours of classes and things, and tests to get that. A mortgage origination license it's not easy. All of these professional designations take classes. And then you mentioned meetups and various classes that people go to. You know, I'm the seminar that is known as Power Players, the intensive known as Power Players. I've been told a lot that it's not like a class. It's not like a normal class. The toolbox that Power Players tries to put forth is very different than a 20% down and get a conventional loan. Talk to me about the two toolboxes. Talk to me about an acquisition, for example, involving the seller in financing with movable collateral and slice and dice clause and an SOS and a first right of refusal and some of these things versus the kind of loan that a bank might give. Is there a right and a wrong, or are they just different tools?
They're just different tools, and it depends on the situation and what your situation is at that time too. You know, a lot of people who are just a paper, I call them, they have a typical W-2. They'll go for the traditional, but it might not be in their best interest to go with the traditional because maybe the interest rates are very high. So it's right now you're looking at 6.5%, and as an investor, you're looking at like 7.5%. But if you did the seller financing, you can potentially get something at 2% or negotiate 0%. So it's two very different forms of financing, and really depends on the situation you're in, what the seller situation is into. I always tell people, if you can get seller financing, that's the unicorn deal. Go for that. Like, that's the best way you want to get a deal and to win in that deal. And then the second would be to go for the more traditional bank financing, but you're very put in a box with the bank financing, whereas with seller financing, you're more in control of it. It's between you and the seller, where you can have that negotiation power with them. And if things change down the road, you can have that flexibility to change things with the seller, versus with a bank loan, you're going up against institutional lending where they're very black and white. Whereas with seller financing and what we learn in Power Players, there's a gray area, and everybody can win in that gray area.
Yeah, I would agree. The collateral agreement is a big part of it too. The ability to substitute collateral,
right?
To move the collateral for the note. Those sort of concepts aren't concepts that you're going to see or be available to you in the conventional world. And so having this full toolbox of possibilities, I think that's really critical.
Yeah, and I feel like just knowing about those different concepts, that's at another level. That's at a sophisticated level. And what you've taught us is to look at real estate, not for the real estate, but for the debt. And me being in the financing world and the debt world, I now understand how powerful that is to be in control of the debt and to leverage off of that debt and to look at it as a bank versus as just a property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that kind of thinking, I really believe, is what separates those that really get great in this.
Yeah.
The loans to one borrower, the very conventional. There's a shelf life. You can only get so big, and then there's a lack of the ability to move forward. You start tapping yourself out with all of these various sources if you're trying to hold real estate. And of course, hold is a great plan because sell should be very timed. If you're wanting to sell, there's only a few windows that's when the time would be right, if you're really being strategic about it. Whereas buying is an everyday of your life if you can name the terms, the price, if you can put something in a cash flow position and hold the line, You mentioned your a dream home that moved to the front of the list, but some thoughts around maybe the investment side should have grown first. Yeah. Is there a right or wrong way of doing that? I mean, I know you love your dream home, and that's awesome. But do you have, thinking back always gives you a clearer picture. Yeah. Yeah.
I always think it depends on where you're at in your life and your situation. We had kids right after we got married, and so our situation changed a little bit because we had kids, and so we needed the better school district and all of that. I don't think there's a right or wrong. I think, everyone has their own path, right? But as a lender and looking at money and, using the least capital and being a better investor, I think if I were to turn back the time, I would have just house hacked. And I did house hack, but I didn't house hack multifamily. I house hacked single family homes because I had kids, right? I couldn't live in an apartment building. But if you were maybe single and you didn't really care where you lived, then maybe that works for you. I'm even changing now in my point in life, because now we are actually trying to enjoy our life a little bit more and all those sacrifices that we made.
What concept?
So we just bought a vacation home in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
I told you I'm actually flying out there again this Friday, but we decided that we've had these apartment buildings and they cash flow well and all of that, but how do we get to enjoy our money? We enjoy it in different ways, but we really wanted to have a second home and have a vacation home too. So I think once in a while, maybe you can splurge. Real estate investing is not about all struggles and all of that. There's a balance, right? Like you're investing in real estate, but then you only have one life to live as well. Yeah. So live your life to the fullest too. And so I think there's a balance. So we just bought a vacation home, and no, it doesn't cash flow because we're paying. It's another liability for us, but it's a decision that we've made to travel more and being intentional with our life as well.
As an entrepreneur, I think you wake up every day asking yourself, so why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And it starts with, providing well for your family, your kids, good schools. Those sorts of things are always the forefront of the checklist, that everybody's healthy, insured, da-da-da-da-da. But if we work this hard and we take these risks and lose sight of why we're doing it, there's really no point. I take this to the extreme when I think of a great power player, a great friend in Los Angeles named Mike Cantu. And I'm going to tell you, he stood up front in Las Vegas and at the All-Star and said, well, here's how I've always thought about this. I've always thought that free and clear house would be a nice thing to have. And so I got one. And I named that house that's free and clear, my investment house, I named that my food house. So when the rent comes in there, that's my food for the month. Yeah. It makes me happy that I have food coming in a month. And then this next house, I call this house my truck and gas house and insurance. Yeah. And this house, so he keeps going. And then he has a daughter that's into horses. So, now I need 3 horse houses, 2 hay houses, and 1 horse trainer house. So those 6 houses are all about horse-related things to my daughter. And so they're not just houses. They relate to this in my life being able to happen. Right. And this is my steakhouse. I love 2 good steaks a week, really good ones. This house pays for all my steak. Yeah. And this is my surfboard house. And this is, I think he's up to 60 houses free and clear now. And he, at a certain point, he ran out of thinking anything that he needs or wants. Yeah. And it's everything he wants in his life is covered by this real estate. And I thought, how simple, but how correct the concept. Yeah. That knowing why you're doing all this and how it translates. You go, do this that allows you to have this much money, and that money buys a home in Las Vegas that you enjoy. Exactly. There. Yeah. And that's a fair trade. And that's where I got it from, from Robert Kiyosaki, where you get your assets to pay for your liabilities. Right. And so my assets, with my cash flow, I'm able to pay for my liability with my vacation home in Las Vegas. Right. So it's a little bit of a splurging, but I don't do it without trying to build my cash flow to help pay for it. Yeah. 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 I think this is one of these unique things about real estate too, is that sometimes the real estate itself becomes something you're very passionate about. A vacation home, for example, or for years I had a ranch up in the mountains for 30 years and just loved going there and taking it in. But here you're loving it, you're using it, and at the same time it's going up in value. Right. And or something like this space. I've owned 4 hangars in my life.
Wow.
And arguably selling 3 of them has paid for the airplanes that I bought, the flight training, everything. The real estate helped make those things happen.
Exactly.
And so I think that we're in a real unique position, or something like if your sister, for example, loved to be involved in hair and loved the hair salon. Well, if you own the building and you own the dirt, now the business is not only providing a great life, you love it, you're making money at it, but you're buying the real estate too with your own business.
Yeah.
That seems to make a lot of sense. Yeah. So I love that part of it. Yeah. So are you golfers?
So the home is on a golf course in Vegas. It's by the lake in Lake Las Vegas. I am more of a hitting range type girl. I haven't really gone out, but we are going to make it more. Hopefully this will give Merrick an excuse to go out more. He used to play a lot of golf. He loves golf, but he just hasn't had time. So we're getting back into that and enjoying life a little bit more.
How old are your kids now?
17 and 15. Yeah.
So they're getting very close to being on their own too.
Yeah. They're going to be on their own. And, I went to a retreat last year and I had a vivid vision. So we did a lot of meditation and I had a vivid vision of what my life would look like when I'm 80. And
So you're going to be around at 80.
I hope so. I had my vivid vision.
Right 70.
But so in that vivid vision, I had my 80-year-old self come back to me and tell me what my life was like. And it talked about me traveling the world with my kids and family. But it also talked about how many people I helped along the way. And so from that vivid vision, I was proactive and I executed it. And that's why we bought our first vacation home in Vegas. And we're going to continue to do this. We're going to buy internationally as well, because I want us to not only invest in real estate, but also enjoy life and travel as well. So might as well buy real estate and invest and stay wherever you travel to. But I had that vivid vision last year. One of the things that in that vivid vision I had was rolling out my scholarship program as well. So I rolled it out. I took action, rolled it out. We awarded the first person in November of this year. So that scholarship program goes to anyone that has any financial hardship. And if they want to pursue a career in real estate, it could be either getting their real estate license, mortgage license, maybe attending a conference, anything that applies to real estate. The person I awarded it to, he used it to have some memberships for property search tools. And also he entered a mentorship program with the funds I gave him. So it's just amazing where, I was lucky enough when I was younger to get a scholarship during school, and I told myself that I would give back to the community and help people and pay it forward. And so it's just amazing that we can help and inspire other people change their lives too.
Awesome.
So yeah.
You, Francis, you lead a group, and I think you're going to have to fill me in on this, but I think there's 3 of you that kind of came together to form a group, 10X Real Estate, 10X something, 10X, right?
10X Real Estate.
And you're, and again, it's always fun when I get to, be blessed to have a new power player. I remember soon after you got back from Power Players, I learned of your group and your intake form, and so I just popped in one meeting. I don't think I even I don't know if I RSVP'd or not, but I just showed up and watched you all in action leading your group, and several people spoke about real estate and various deals and things, and it was awesome. The marketing of your group is very proactive.
Mm-hmm.
You put yourself out there. It looks like sort of like Charlie's Angels, the three of you, in your marketing, putting this out there. But tell me more about this group and what was the genesis of that? And what brought that out? And what is the goal of the group? And tell me about 10X a little bit.
So we are all real estate investors and friends as well. And one day we went out to dinner and we just talked about real estate, and we said, how great would it be to just bring a community together and, have fun while we're doing it. And, this community will be where everyone can learn from each other. And it doesn't matter if you're new into the space or if you're an industry expert, you've been doing it for years, but we all treat each other the same and we all help each other. Mm-hmm. So that was really when, what the community we envisioned it to look like. And it's like that, where everyone helps each other. There's no one thinking that they're better because they have more experience or not. And we open it up to everyone. The first meetup we had, it was during COVID time, and we thought, let's get people together. Maybe 35, 50 people will show up. And that first meetup, it was at the Barron's restaurant in Bellevue Square, and it ended up being a packed house. I think like maybe 80 or 90 people showed up. And it was during COVID time, so we had all those capacity restrictions. And so it looked like a club line going out the door because, 3 people would leave and then 3 people would go in because it was just at max capacity and people were waiting to come in. But it just really took off from there. And I think it was because, we made this community for people to share information, to get together and just embrace the real estate investing community and to help each other. So that was our main focus, is to just help each other, put it out there for everyone. And, we're always going to help people if they ask us for help.
I love it. And the three of you have all similar under the big world of real estate investing. Do you have slightly different specialties under that? Like one specialty you might have is mortgage. Do you have different specialties underneath that?
Yeah. So I'm more of a buy and hold real estate investor. The other two, they flip homes. I think they have some buy and hold as well, but I'm in the mortgage industry. We have one gal that's in hard money lending, and then another gal who's a real estate broker. So we're all in the real estate field, know the same circle of people in real estate.
And you meet monthly or quarterly?
Quarterly. We try to do it quarterly. We just had our big Lunar New Year celebration where we have the dragon dance and all of that too. But it's great. And, we've had people come to us where they met someone there that gave them a deal, or they met someone that connected them to someone that gave them a deal. We've had people come up to us where they were inspired. They didn't think that they could do real estate investing, but they saw us being women, female, moms, that they could do it as well. So our group is inclusive of everyone. So it doesn't matter if you're a male or female, but it is empowering to know that we can help a lot of women out there who never thought that they could do real estate investing.
That's part of the proactive piece is, putting yourself out there. You're in motion, right? And when you're in motion, things happen. When you're not in motion, nothing happens.
Exactly.
Right? The waiting place is the useless place, as Geisel says. And so this idea of, okay, let's see what happens. Let's put ourselves out there And, with great leadership, as you guys provide, it's really grown a lot. And that's awesome. That's fantastic. So tell me more about your husband and how do you said he has a good, stable job that kind of gives you some freedom to go do your thing. Tell me what Merrick does.
Oh, he is like my rock, and really the rock to our whole entire, our whole life, He's always been my number one supporter. We are actually high school sweethearts. So he was the first person I saw going up to our high school in freshman year on the first day of school to our freshman orientation. So we were each other's first person that we saw, but we didn't date until our senior year. And so, he's always been there, my number one supporter. He was there when I was at my W-2 job and deciding if I wanted to go back into real estate or not. And so without his support, encouragement, I remember he would give me lunch money so that I wouldn't have to worry or buy this or pay for this, so I wouldn't have to worry, so I could just focus on my real estate investing and mortgage. And you really need that in a relationship, someone that will support you. And even with my meetups, he's always there supporting me as well. So, he's my number one fan. He works at... he's in banking, so he's in the financial industry as well, but he focuses more on our stocks and other investments, and I mainly focus on the real estate side of things. But, he knows, like, without my risk-taking and getting into real estate, we wouldn't have the life that we have right now without all of our real estate investments.
But it sounds like it's a good combination for you guys of sort of something stable, perhaps more predictable. And that gives you the freedom to go out there and your energy go where you go. Right?
And he also is the conservative one too. So I'm going a mile a minute and he helps ground me sometimes. So you need that balance too. Because I think if both of us were going a mile a minute, it wouldn't work out. But he helps ground me and supports me.
I think that's tremendous. That you hear a lot. I'm not sure I like the phrase, but you do hear it a lot of this work-life balance. For at least me, I'm not so sure I even understand what that means, but I do get the idea of having priorities that are not just focused on work. It can be very easy in the entrepreneurial world to let it just sweep you up and consume you 24/7. There's always, you're the CEO of every department, whether you know anything or not, accounting and marketing and sales and customer service. And it's all on you, and you build an infrastructure around yourself to try to do that. But it can be overwhelming. But the other priorities of family, the priorities of faith, the priorities of health and wellness, give me a day in the life of, give me kind of a slice of Francis Nguyen, just like on any given Wednesday. What does it look like?
It first starts with meditation and saying my affirmations, right? I always start my day off on a positive note and always knowing what my end goal is, because I think it sets you up for success, knowing what your plan is for the day, and you'll work towards that goal. I'm on a wellness journey too. So I am a big believer that health is wealth. If you don't have your health, there's really no point in all of the things we do, the real estate investing. So I work out too. I'm diligent on my workouts. I try to eat healthy, try to have a equal balanced life with enough sleep and all of that. But during the day, I mean, it's busy. I'm a mom too. I'm a business owner, but I always have time for myself in the morning, with my workouts and my meditation and affirmations. Then I, get the kids ready. They're off for school, making sure everyone gets out to the bus on time, things like that. And I focus on my lending, my real estate investing. And then when the kids come home, it's mom mode again. It's, taking them to practice, being a wife, cooking dinner. So it's busy, but, that's how life is. And I always put milestones in place too, where, there are some days where, maybe we have a late meetup and I have to Uber dinner that night. So I would tell the kids, I'm sorry, kids, we got to Uber. But I do put milestones in place where we say 3 times a week, we're going to sit down together as a family. I'm always present on all of the kids' practices, chaperoning field trips, 2 vacations, at least minimum 2 vacations a year. So I feel like sometimes it is hard being a mom and a businesswoman, but when you put these milestones in place and say, okay, we will do this as a family, I will be there for all of your practices and so forth, like it doesn't make me feel as bad. And I mean, there are some days where it's a rough day and I think I'm terrible. But the kids, they know, like, I'm not the typical 9-to-5 mom. And I actually see them more now working in my entrepreneurial job than when I worked 9-to-5. Because now I can be there during the day if they need something for their school and all that. Yeah, and I'm a big believer that it's quality versus quantity, right? I mean, I may not be a stay-at-home mom and be there with them 100% of the time, but the time that I do have with them, I make sure that it's quality and worthwhile. And I feel like that matters more than just spending time with them and not, bringing any value at all.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that I just heard there, tell me if I'm wrong, but there's a template of non-negotiables.
Yes.
And then there's spaces in between that, okay, this is, I know what I'm doing here, but it flexes and weaves. But there's some non-negotiables, like your meditation, like your workout, your health in the morning. That's a big rock that doesn't move.
Yeah.
Then the next thing. That, to me, that's, instead of balance, the word alignment seems to work a lot better. Like, first things first, and then you move through your day and your responsibilities. But, there are those that are of the mind that being you just can't be done. That there's no way you can do all of that and do all of it well. And I completely disagree. Yeah. I see it, and I think it can be done well to have a career and have something you're truly passionate about at work, while still being a great bride, a great mother, and keeping yourself outside of work tended to. But it has to be very deliberate. It can't just hope it all falls into place, because it won't, So, Francis, tell me, you've been to all kinds of trainings, you've read all kinds of books, you've interviewed all kinds of people, talked to a lot of people. Give me a couple significant influences, be it a book, a podcast, a person you've studied or met, or something you've done that you would say to everybody, hey, if you ever get the chance, read this book, or whatever. Give me some influence type stuff.
Yeah, I think the book that changed my life, and I always tell people this, but this is the book that changed the trajectory of everything, and it was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And Merrick actually was the one who encouraged me to read that book. We were at the bookstore and he said, I heard this was a good book. And I was into real estate investing, but I didn't know what that looked like or anything like that. And when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it changed me and shifted my mindset from an employee to an employer to an investor. And one thing that it made me realize is that why are we working for someone where it's very unstable, even though we are trained that, get a job, go to college, get a good job, and things will be stable. It's actually not stable. And, you can get fired the very next day. And I realized at that moment that I wanted to take control of my life and I wanted to have financial independence. And I didn't want to work for someone else. And so it was that book that a light bulb went off in my head and told me that I needed to focus on real estate investing and focus on financial independence.
It's a great book. Yeah. Yeah. What podcasts do you listen to frequently? Or do you listen to some that you check in on quite often?
I listen to a lot of Bigger Pockets and so forth. I hear a lot of strategies on it. There's been so many different people that I've heard on Bigger Pockets and so forth, and some local people in Seattle. One of my big mentors is Thatch Nguyen. He's spoken, locally here, but his story is a rags to riches story as well, which I can relate to. And what I love about him is that he gives back to the community as well. So he focuses on a lot of the BRRRR strategies and all of that. But the fact that he came as an immigrant as well, his family from Vietnam, but now he's doing so well and giving back to the community. That's one of my aspirations. And when I die, I want people to know me by how I impacted the community and what I did in this life to help others and be an inspiration to others. So that's one of the goals. I feel that true enlightenment happens when you can give back to the community and give back to people.
Have you been back to your birth country since? Have you?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So I was in college. I wrote my master's thesis on silica exposure in Vietnam workers. And so my thesis project was based off of Vietnam. And so I went back there and worked with the Institute of Health there in Hanoi. And I've never been back. This was by myself in college. And I decided that since I'm here this weekend, since we had it off, I'm just going to book an airplane ticket to Central Hue and find my grandparents, visit my grandparents. And so
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I was by myself with my professors, and I decided this weekend I'm just going to book the ticket. And I called my mom and dad and said, Mom, Dad, I'm going to go visit Grandma and Grandpa. Tell them to come and pick me up. So it was an hour. It's an hour plane ride from Hanoi to Hue Central, where my grandparents are at. And when we saw each other at the airport, it was like we knew each other for years and years, even though I've never met them face to face. It was always through telephone, and back then there was no FaceTime or anything like that. So it was always through telephone, and we just felt like a connection, just because it's your roots, your motherland, you're coming back. Yeah. And all of us just started crying like we knew each other for years and years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I have a close friend who just needed to go do a bit of a walkabout, and he's been gone close to 2 months now, but he spent a lot of time in Vietnam.
Yeah, I actually messaged him because I saw his his post, and he was loving it, and I told him, it's the best place. Like,
he's really learning a lot and growing a lot. It's I just think that one of the things that I don't know, I think sometimes in life at least it's my observation. It seems like I'm always, in a conversation where I can sense somebody feeling a little bit stuck. And the other day I had such a conversation, and I could just and I said to this young man, I said, if you had to, could you get your hands on $1,000? And he says, yeah, I could figure that out. I said, do you know that you could buy a plane ticket and tomorrow, literally 24 hours from right now, you could be on the other side of the world in a culture you've never seen before, with a language you don't know, and you could be on the adventure of your life.
Right.
And I think part of what made me say that is just how, following Steve and his adventure, how we get so like, this is it. This is our life. Well, it doesn't have to be your life.
Yeah.
One plane ticket, and believe me, you're over your skis now.
Yeah.
You're not sure what's going on. You can choose that. And to me, it's almost the spirit of entrepreneurship.
Right.
You could choose to stay. I'm going to work for the city of Seattle. I'm in public health, and you can just go into a coma, and 30 years later you look up and there you are.
Yeah.
And you see this, and I go, oh my God, no, change is growth.
Right.
And it's scary. It's like, okay, here we go. I'm giving notice. I'm going to go do this. I don't know what that looks like, but here we go.
Yeah.
And I'm just so drawn by entrepreneurship in that way, because every day you're making it up. What's the plan? How am I going to do this? It's on you. And to me, it's like being on an adventure. You don't know what's around the next corner.
Yeah.
And you'll figure it out.
Yep.
That confidence that it brings, that I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what's courageous about this is, it would have been a huge win if your parents got you here, you got through any kind of school, and you went and got a job and paid your bills. That would have been a home run right out of the ballpark.
Right.
But to take it to this level is... There's just this courage in you, and I think that has been inherited. You don't get on a boat with a whole bunch of kids in the night and say, here we go, without courage.
Yeah.
Action in spite of fear.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you're doing by being in the entrepreneurial world, and I embrace entrepreneurs. It takes a lot of guts to just say, here we go, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so how inspiring. Way to go.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Thank you.
Yeah, way to go. I want the world to know how they can best get a hold of you.
Social media is probably best through, I'm on Facebook, Instagram. My numbers are there as well. But social media is
and how
where I do a lot of.
I don't do a lot of social media. Do you have like just look up by your name? Is that it?
Oh, yeah. So I'm Frances Nguyen. If you go on Instagram, it's called Frances Nguyen Real Estate.
Frances Nguyen Real Estate.
Yeah, and my number is 425-525-9883. Okay. So, I'm always helping people, seeing how I can help them or at least refer them to people that can help them. But I'm an open book. Like, I will come out, meet you, have coffee. And the way I think about it is I was once a newbie or a beginner as well, and I needed guidance and advice, but there was no one there. So there's no social media, there's no one to help. And if I can just help people and inspire people, that's one more person that I helped in this world. And that's my goal, is to leave this world a better place than I found it. So
I think it's very, I don't know, I think it's not every day that you get somebody just willing to say, hey, here's my phone number, here's how you look me up. I respect anybody's decision to give or not give that, but I think it's so you, and I think the fact that, you know, you're here face to face brings back my last story. And don't hold me to this because I'm really bad with times and dates, but a couple of years ago, let's say that, you were at a day at the hangar.
Yep.
And I don't even think that day was done. I think it was later, even that evening.
It was during lunchtime or something,
that you texted me that, okay, when you have a moment, I want to meet with you. And I took that as, okay, we'll talk. And I text back, yeah, tell me a good time to talk. He says, no, I want to meet with you. Face to face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, I've got this crazy week where I'm going to be following up and this and that. And it's like, just tell me a time and I will come out there and meet with you. And I thought, just that, okay, this is somebody who's serious about the questions they have, about what they want, about where they want to go. And yeah, it's an hour drive from where you are to here. And yet I remember in between calls, okay, I have this hour slot.
Yeah.
And you're here and you've got a notepad and here's the questions and you were just on point. And I went, okay, how is that not beyond impressive when you do that in any scenario in life? You show up, you're on time, you've got questions, you've got a notepad, you asked your questions, you knew I had an hour, and boom, boom, and you drove. So you spent an hour driving here, an hour driving back for an hour meeting. You
It's
don't
worth it.
see that anymore. You don't see that. Everybody's like, yeah, can we just do this, you know, by text? It's like, I don't know. To me, that was so impressive. And in that Power Players has a screening process, boy, I'll tell you, there was no thinking after that. If you went in, you're in, because that is impressive. And so to see you just take it from there and go, and not that you weren't already going strong at that point, but to just see that, that's the word, proactive.
Right.
You go after what it is that you want and you make it happen. I hear every excuse in the world why things can't happen.
Yeah.
Everyone in the world, and all of them stink. Yeah. It's just like, if you don't want it bad enough, you're right, it won't happen. Yeah. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I love that. Take no prisoners. You
Thank
just get it done.
Yeah. You know, and I am a firm believer that you have to be intentional and you have to take action. Yeah. Because taking action makes you one step closer versus not doing it. When you're in motion, things happen when you're in motion. And, you know, you have to be proactive to do that. And there's a saying, closed mouths don't get fed. So you got to open your mouth. You got to declare it. You got to tell the person. You got to declare it to the universe and take action.
Well, that's the challenge. That actually is the challenge at the end of this podcast. That what is your version of that? Where do you need to take action? What is it that you're just thinking about? But forget thinking. Move. Go. Take action. To me, that divides the world right there.
Yeah.
So, Frances, thank you so much. This has just been incredible. I can't wait for the world to take notes on this one. They've got how to get a hold of you, so be careful. Yeah.
I appreciate being here and telling my story. And, you know, I just hope to inspire others and, you know, show that if you can make it with, you know, coming from the projects where, you know, growing up, it was cockroaches and rats in my house and not knowing what life would look like, but you turn that around and you convert your struggles to a hard work ethic and working hard. Anything is possible.
Well, There's an incredible example, and I love it.
Thank
Thank you
you.
again, and thank you for watching this podcast. Until next time, God bless you.